Episode 10, Desert Island Discs. We're going to be looking at this shelf here. Let's get into it. Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of Desert Island Discs, where we take a look at all the content of one of my shelves, this week being this one here. And out of all those films on that shelf, I'm going to pick for you my favourite film, or the one film, not necessarily my favourite film, but the film that I would take with me above all others for whatever reason it might be. If I was stranded on a desert island, I had electricity and the ability to play, what film would I take off of that? But while I'm doing it, I want you to pick what film you would take as well, and maybe throw in some guesses at what film you think I would pick. See if you know me, see if you get it right. And then 2 weeks time I'll be back with another shelf, probably this one. Then I may jump to a steelbook shelf, which is behind the camera, and then back to the main shelves. So without further ado, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you press that subscribe button, come and join the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, share the video, whatever you've got to do. But we're going to get into this shelf here and take a look at what is on there in the collection. Let's do it. Okay, so obviously this is just a standard Blu-ray shelf. It's not 4Ks. 4Ks are elsewhere, steelbooks are elsewhere, special collector's editions are elsewhere. This is just my basic kind of a Blu-ray stuff. So you may think to yourself, hold on a minute, you're going for all the H's, but you haven't got this film. Why wouldn't you have that film? I probably have elsewhere. But anyway, let's get into it. My glasses are a little bit dirty. Need to clean them off. So let's take a look at what we've got kicking around on this shelf. So, okay, first off, I have a James Bond Aston Martin Playmobil car. Playmobil knock out some fantastic releases. I mean, I do have the A-Team van, which is on the shelf below. In the last episode, we did look at Back to the Future car and Kit from Knight Rider. But that's the James Bond Aston Martin, James Bond inside. I did actually break this and I had to do a repair job on one of the mirrors. I snapped them off. That happens. Then we have here the Playmobil Ecto-1 Ghostbusters car with lights. It's very illuminated here. I know. Let me turn the light down a bit. You might see it a bit better. There we go. It's not so bright. So I know you can't really see it with the lights on above, but it's got lights and also it has sounds. Very good. Let's turn that light up a bit now. Don't need it as bright as what it was, but we'll go with that. And on the floor, crawling around my feet, is the tortoise. I got him out of his run, otherwise he starts clanging. He starts banging about for me to give him some attention. And then we have, I did pick that up as well, it was a Marshmallow Man from Playmobil set to go with the Ecto-1. Or Ecto-2 actually. That's Ecto-2, that's the Ghostbusters 2 car, which is the same car but modified. So let's take a look what we have here, shall we? So I'm going to go through the ones that are on the top shelf first, or the ones that are running flat along the top before we get to this lot. So what do we have first up here? We have Clint Eastwood movie. I haven't seen this in a long time, but it's a great film. Heartbreak Ridge. Very good, very good. Yeah, what can I say about that film? It's a great film. And then we have one I picked up for £1 here, Hall Pass, with Owen Wilson, Jason Sudeikis. That's his name, isn't it? Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Fisher, Richard Jenkins, Christina Applegate. I can't remember the film at all. Seriously, I cannot. I have seen it. I do like Owen Wilson. I like Jason Sudeikis. They're pretty good. Obviously, this was a CEX pickup for £1. But this is one where they get the hall pass to sleep with whoever they want or something like that, isn't it? So, yeah, I can't really remember it. Then I have here Hot Pursuit with Reese Witherspoon and Sofia Vergara, who's obviously big in Modern Family. Obviously, I've not watched it. This was picked up in Poundland for £2. One of those Poundland pickup films that still require a watch. Then we have a Nicolas Cage, one of his sort of more forgettable ones, Humanity Bureau. But I do like Nicolas Cage, so what can I say? Okay, moving on. We have here the Hangover trilogy. Hangover 1, 2 and 3. I do actually have these in steelbook as well, as in one steelbook that contains all 3 films. I picked that up in the Isle of Wight in the CEX over there a few years ago for about £8. It was a really nice steelbook. That's why I picked it up, but I still have these. So really, these could go into the double pile to be gotten rid of at some juncture. Keeping with the comedies, we have Hot Shots Parts 1 and 2. And I have the DVDs of them as well, still in there. But Hot Shots very funny films. I love these. This is, I don't know if this is the French version or no, it's German version. It's always bugged me that I don't know if it was the same on the Blu-ray over here, if they reinstated it. But there's the scene in Hot Shots Part 2 where he's in the car with the woman and the driver is trying to take photos of them, getting it on, and Charlie Sheen raises the thing between them, the barrier, and then he's outside of the car running along with the camera. Very funny scene, but it was always omitted from some of the versions over here. And that forced me to source it from other destination. But like I say, I don't know whether that was reinstated. I've got a feeling that may be reinstated back onto the films. What else did I have there as well? We have Horrible Bosses 1 and 2. I can't really remember the second one very much, I'll be honest. But I did like the first one a lot. I do like it when Jennifer Aniston plays against type. What I mean is it's so easy for her to be typecast as what she was in Friends, but I like it when she plays against that and she does something different, and there she certainly does. There was the other film she'd done with Jason Sudeikis as well, done where they pretend to be the family, and I think she's a dancer in that or something, an exotic dancer or something along those lines. I can't remember. Then we have here the man who would play Superman and Batman, Ben Affleck, Hollywoodland. Yeah, he played George Reeves in this. So he did get to don the Superman outfit. And then he goes on to play Batman, obviously. You have Diane Lane. Ironically, she plays Superman's mother in Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. Ben Affleck's Batman has to rescue her in that, doesn't he? But here he plays an actor who plays Superman, and that's Superman's mother. Adrian Brody as well. Adrian Brody, a fantastic actor who I really like. And I love him in... Oh, Bob Hoskins in this as well. Sorely missed actor. Adrian Brody was fantastic. I loved him in Predators. When I first heard he was being cast in Predators, I was like, what are you doing? But then when he was on screen, he was great. And I always say that at the end of The Predator, when that silly thing opens and you've got the stupid mechanical thing in it, that should have opened and it should have had Royce in it. Should have had Royce being returned to Earth by that Predator. That would have brought that background to that film, and that would have been a perfect ending for that. You know, he had all this nonsense about Arnie possibly being in there, and the makers thought of this, Arnie being in there, or blimmin' Ripley How's that work? I don't know. Royce was your perfect candidate to be inside that thing, because at the end of Predators, he's left up there on that planet. Anyway, moving on. Hot Tub Time Machine. John Cusack, Rob Corddry, Craig Robinson, Clark Duke. Funny film. I do like this film a lot. Then we have the inevitable sequel that occurred, minus John Cusack. Can't really remember the sequel too much. So now let's get along the actual shelf itself. And first of all, we're jumping into a franchise. A franchise of movies. This is going to come up again in the, or it may have already come up once, but it will come up again, if not once, already a couple of times. And that is Highlander. The very first Highlander film. Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery. I love this film. I actually love the franchise. I love the concept of the film. I love the fact that it's so romanticised. The idea of living through time, through the ages, and something romantic about it, something sad about it as well. But, you know, seeing the loved ones of your life die, but just imagine all of the knowledge you could obtain if you were to live through the, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to live forever, definitely not. But just imagine all the knowledge and the things you would see and the changes you would see. There's something very poetic about it. And I love Highlander, I really do. It's a fantastic, fantastic film. The reason I say it will come up again is because I have a special collector's edition of it. I have another steelbook of it, 4K steelbook. That may have already been and gone. I can't remember if it was on that shelf that I'd done previous. So then that leads to Highlander 2. Highlander 2, yes. A derived movie, a film that is hated by most people. I watch it from time to time. It's a bad film. It's a bad film, but it's a film that I love to hate. There's a very interesting backstory behind the film, and I love the fact that different versions were attempted to be done, you know, that different cuts and this sort of thing as time went on. They even went and filmed newer bits for the film a little bit later on. Some of the special effects were redone. It's a fascinating story of a movie, and the processes that it went through, and the things that have happened to it since it came out. And I always revisit it because it's a film that I love to hate. Now, by that I mean there are certain films that I know are terrible, terrible films, but I watch them. I know what I'm watching is bad, but I keep revisiting them. And it's a film I love to hate. Then we have Highlander 3, The Sorcerer, or I think it's given different names in different regions, this one here. This is the one with Mario Van Peebles. Yeah, it has its moments. It's not a great film. Then we jump to, and inside here, oh, I do have this in here, look. So then we jump to Highlander Endgame. I was so excited when this came out. I've got like a hologram. I don't know if I can get that shining for you. Yeah, there we go. Hologram coin in there. That actually came with season 1 of the TV series. Because I have all the TV series of Highlander as well on DVD. Now, I'll keep that in here for safekeeping. So, Highlander Endgame. Obviously, it was the second time these two characters met because Christopher Lambert was in the very first episode of Highlander, the TV series, as Connor MacLeod, sort of handing over the baton to Adrian Paul's Duncan MacLeod. Like I said, I loved the TV series, and when the TV series ended, it spun off into films. Now, this is it's a cheap film, but it ties back into the very first Highlander film. Some other characters from that are introduced back into this, with their untimely deaths, and it does see the departure of Connor MacLeod's Connor MacLeod from the story, in that he gets killed and, well, he has to take his power to defeat the baddie. But it was a nice handing over. Now, obviously, this is a follow-on from the film series, from the TV series. So, the TV series done its own thing and took its own path. So, you have to even though it ties into elements of the first Highlander film. It's, do you know what I mean? It's there we go. And then that brings us to Highlander The Source, the 5th Highlander film. I've only ever seen this film the once. Now, interestingly, I had this film many a year ago. I had a copy of this film about a year before it actually got released officially. And back in those days, I would make a little bit of money off of eBay by pirating this film. I did. Naughty me, I know. But basically, this film got a release, an official release in limited release on DVD in Russia. It was called Tupia, something like that. I still have it somewhere in a jewel case. And it then got, it was the only country it got released in on physical media. It got withheld the release because they wanted to make cuts to it or edits. They wanted to re-edit some of the film, so it only had that as a release, and I'd got hold of a copy of it. So people wanted it, and I sold it to them, sold them copies of it. It's a rubbish film. It's a bad film. It's a film that I've never visited since, but it's part of that franchise, and I love the franchise. I mean, you think Highlander 2 is bad? Watch Highlander The Source. But then when it did finally come out, those edits that they made to the movie were minuscule and done nothing to proceedings, done nothing to help the movie whatsoever. So there's the Highlander franchise for you. Apologies for my coughing. Okay, and then we have M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. I think it's got a great concept. I think he was onto something with that film, but ultimately failed, obviously. But the idea of people taking their own lives like they do, that was very haunting, that opening of the film. And then we have here, DVD inside, Michael J. Fox, James Woods in The Hard Way. Great film. This really is a great film. I actually have a steelbook en route now as I'm filming this. HMV are worth selling the Japanese style steelbook for this. £4.99 online. £4.99. I've bought it. Thank you to Jimmy over at Jimmy Boys Movies for pointing that one out to me. Then we have Hardcore Henry. I did watch it, I enjoyed it, but I'm scared to revisit it because of motion sickness. Hard Rain, Christian Slater and Morgan Freeman. Good film. Good film. Not only that, but it stars Minnie Driver. Minnie Driver. I like Minnie Driver. I used to watch her in a TV show here in Britain that she'd done with George Cole. She was only in the first season, I believe, and then she was swapped by another woman because she went off to Hollywood to start getting a career over there. I'm going to sneeze. Then we have The Heist. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Robert De Niro, Kate Bosworth, Dave Bautista. Decent cast. I have seen it. Can't remember it though. I bought it cheap, that's why it's still sealed. I had seen it before that. And then we have the late Rutger Hauer in Hobo with a Shotgun. Grindhouse-esque movie. Yeah, it was decent film actually. Yeah, a decent movie. Silly but fun. We have Homefront with Jason Statham and James Franco. I like Jason Statham. He's always enjoyable. Bruce Willis, Hudson Hawk. I think this is a very underrated movie. It got a lot of criticism and hate when it came out. It really did. And I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed Hudson Hawk. Okay, so I'll do these ones quick, but we have 4 Hunger Games movies. Final one was in a lenticular. Not a film series that I feel the need to upgrade to on 4K whatsoever. Not necessary for it. Hannah. The Hunt with Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah, it's done in it's a Danish film. It's a foreign language. I like Mads Mikkelsen. Hunter Killer. I like submarine set movies. And Gerard Butler, he makes some decent, cheapy sort of action movies, doesn't he? Hurt Locker for £2. This should go into the doubles because I do have a steelbook for it. And it's a very good film. Steelbook came after that. Hansel and Gretel. Witch Hunters. Been a long time. Heart of the Sea. Ron Howard's Moby Dick-esque movie. Moby Dick is one film that I do feel that should have a big budget reimagining. I know you could say that is it, but there's the book there. Look, it's on my table. Herman Melville's Moby Dick. That's just coincidence. Yeah, I feel that Moby Dick is a movie that needs to be given a big budget overhaul, a direct adaptation, big budget. Obviously, in 1851 that book came out. Gregory Peck made a film in 1956 of it. Very good film. I don't have it in the collection. And then 1998, Patrick Stewart done a version for Hallmark, so a TV movie essentially. Ironically, Patrick Stewart in the same year or a year after done Star Trek First Contact, so he got to play Ahab twice, because Star Trek First Contact is very much based upon Moby Dick. Call Me Ishmael. We have Hidalgo, Viggo Mortensen. I love this film. It's really good. One where he races a horse across the desert. Very good movie. Home Alone. Classic Christmas movie, staple at Christmas time. I have the 4K. Home Alone 2. I'm sorry if I'm very sniffly. Hay Fever. Lost in New York. That's as far as I go with the Home Alones, by the way. I don't bother with the others. Never have I even seen the others. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Martin Freeman. Don't Panic. Very, very good book. Very good book. Has a lot to say. Very philosophical, in a sense. Hostiles. Western. Rosamund Pike, Christian Bale. Wes Studi. Then we have Hybrid 3D. Killer car movie. I like killer car movies. You know, like Duel, Christine, Car. Yeah. Hercules with Dwayne Johnson. Hustlers, Jennifer Lopez. Honest Thief, Liam Neeson. That was okay. How I Spent My Summer Vacation, Mel Gibson. Decent. Hitman with Timothy Olyphant. But Timothy didn't return for part 2. This was the geezer who was in Homeland a bit. Hitcher, Rutger Hauer. Classic film. Fantastic. 4K, please. And we have House at the End of the Street with Jennifer Lawrence. And Haywire, which I believe I only picked up because of, well, that's got a great cast. Gina Carano. But look, Michael Fassbender, Ewan McGregor, Bill Paxton, Channing Tatum, Antonio Banderas, Michael Douglas. You'd think the film would be far better than what it is. House, I've said that already. Okay, what do we have here? Hancock. Will Smith. Still sealed here. Oh. Why I picked this up, I don't know. I do know why, because it's a 50-50 film. Sandra Bullock. Yes. Melissa McCarthy. Oh, can't stand the woman. So, it was a film that I bought from Poundland with the intent of watching it. So I hadn't seen it, but I'm going to be pulled in two different directions, and it's dependent on who wins. Her pulling it down or her pulling it up. I've got a feeling that she'll win pulling it down. Then we have the movie The Hunt, which was apparently banned for a while. That's good marketing for it. Hilary Swank is in this. Yeah. I didn't like this film very much. Hitman's Bodyguard, it didn't work for me. Neither did the sequel. I tried it. Other people loved it. I haven't got the sequel. And we have The Haunting. Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson. I think this was a 1997 movie. If I get my dates right. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Something's amiss here. Something's gone wrong. Two copies. I hate it when that happens. That goes on double pile. Heat. Good film. Didn't feel the need to upgrade though. Okay. We have Her. Okay. We have Harry and the Hendersons. I love this film. John Lithgow, I think it's great in it. David Suchet is very good. Did you know that Kevin Peter Hall played the Bigfoot Harry? And in the TV series, Kevin Peter Hall also played the Predator in Predator 1 and 2. He subsequently died quite young, about the age of 36, I believe it was, of pneumonia, basically brought on by AIDS. He died of AIDS. And he caught that in a blood transfusion. Infected blood transfusion. Poor fella. Then we have Harry Brown, which was actually filmed not too far from me, on these flats that used to be up at a place called the Elephant and Castle. The flats have been torn down since, but it was all filmed around that area, and it's a very good film. Still sealed. I got it cheap. Then we have Hurricane Heist. Still need to watch this. Maggie Grace, who's in it? Toby Cabell. Yeah, film I've not got around to watching. And then last but not least, we have here the Hannibal Lecter trilogy of movies. Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal itself. And that sounds like there's loose discs in there. They're going to be DVDs that I decanted and just stuck in there loose for safekeeping. Okay, so there we have it. There we have that shelf done. So, have you picked your film? The one film off of that shelf for you that you would be taking with you if you were stranded on a desert island. What film? You've only got one choice. No cheating. You've got one choice there. If someone came to you and said, here's a list of films, you can take any one you want for free. You haven't got any of them. What film would you be taking off of that shelf? Let me know in the comments below. And let's adjust the camera and we'll have a look at what it was that I picked. So that was the shelf there, done and dusted. One film above all else. Now that one film for me was an easy pick off of that shelf. so much so that there probably wasn't anything that came in as a sort of contender, so I've got no backups for you. But there are some films on that shelf that I love. Films like The Hitcher, there's some great comedies up there. But the one film on that shelf that I would take above all else is Highlander, the very first Highlander film. Now, if this did come on my Steelbook shelf, I don't believe that I picked this as my number one, because I think I picked something else over it. But then that's what's going to happen, is that I'll go to another shelf and then that film will stand out above all else on that shelf. But if this was on the shelf with something else might take its place. That's the way it'll work. I think I've said all I can say about this film when I stood up there talking about it. I have a lot of love for the franchise. I have a lot of love for the idea behind it. So much so, I even love... There's a TV series that I have here, seeing if I can find it. And it's not Highlander. I do have the Highlander TV shows. And it is this, called Forever, with Ian Grufford. It only lasted one season, but it's very much the same concept. It's about a man who's immortal, living through the ages, who has lived through the ages. They don't go around cutting each other's heads off, but it's that idea, the idea of immortality. Now, it fascinates me. Not because I want to live forever. I certainly don't, because I believe that what makes life special for us is that it does end. One day I am going to eat my last meal. One day I am going to have my last chat with certain friends. One day I'm going to see my last sunrise, feel my last spots of rain on my face. But the thing is that you don't know when that is. We don't know when that's going to happen. It could happen tomorrow. We just don't know. And for that reason, we should treat life as something special, that's a gift given to us, and make the most of it. And do the best we can in it, and this sort of a thing. And Highlander, so the idea, the idea of that prolonged lifespan is an intriguing one to me, because like I said earlier, all the knowledge that you could obtain, the things that you will see that will pass by into history and this sort of a thing, and you're still there as secretly as, because at the moment, right, we've still got survivors from World War II. Yeah. So World War II hasn't passed into history yet. But at some point, when that last person passes away, who was alive then, who could remember things from that time, that's the minute that thing has passed into history. But to be able to live through something like that and remember it, and you're still there as a living reminder of that time of life, that time of history. It's a fantastic concept, a very intriguing concept to me. And like I said, the romanticism behind it, the fact that you have to watch everyone around you pass away. There's like a poetic irony, a sadness, but very romantic at the same time. So the Highlander films speak to me in that respect. But like I said, would I want to live forever? No, I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. I'm very much at peace with the idea that that life comes to an end. There's something wonderful about that in itself, and there's a comfort that I take in that, if that makes sense. That it will be ended, it will be finished, that it's not forever. I had a fascinating conversation with a religious fella, and I like having conversations. Now, I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in the afterlife or anything like that. I don't. I've got not a religious bone in my body. I believe religion to be a creation for control of the masses. That's what I believe it to have been. That being said, I'd never take away from anyone's belief or faith, because people having faith and belief in things comforts them in times of trouble, and makes them believe that there is something beyond our own. It kind of comforts them in these times of loss and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't ever take that away from someone, but doesn't mean I have to believe it. or even pretend I believe it. No, so I was having a fantastic conversation with a geezer who was on the one side of things religious, and I was on the other of not being religious. And I was saying to him that, you know, I find peace in the fact that one day it will be over, because, you know, the fact is we do get old. We get old. We start off as babies, we get older, we grow, and then as we get even older, we almost kind of revert back into that baby state. That's what I call it, a reversion into a baby state. Because think about it, as a baby, you can't walk, you can't feed yourself. When you get old, you have the potential. A lot of elderly people struggle to feed themselves, struggle to walk. Babies mess themselves. Older people, they struggle with the, you know, the inability to get to the toilet on time. Babies doze a lot. Old people doze a lot. I doze a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was having this conversation, and I said to him, I goes, do you know what? Right? I goes, if there is an afterlife, and when I pass away, I wake up and believe that I am, you know, I wake up and I'm in an afterlife, I'm going to be pretty damn annoyed, because I was content with the fact that it ended. Not that there was a continuation after this. It would annoy me, because I don't want to continue after this. But there we go. But I have also thought about it in respect to, you know, if there was an afterlife, how I perceive it to be, or how I would like, you know, if I truly did believe in something, how I would believe it, how I would position my brain, because I have had them thoughts as well. Now, for me, I've always said that I'd like the afterlife to be, it's non-linear. It's non-linear. So, basically, when I die, I would, you know, whatever, go fizzle off to the afterlife. And when I'm there, everyone I know that I love is there, including my children, right? Now, this usually gets people. They're going, what? What? You've got to think non-linearly, right? Time doesn't work there like it does here. So here on Earth, right, for argument's sake, so I pass away, I get up there, and my children are there, all right? And that doesn't mean that they've died and they're there as well. What it means is that they've lived their life down here. So from their perspective, they haven't seen me for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is. But then when they pass away, you know, they meet me up there. But from my perspective, it's instantaneous. Same goes for like my mum and dad. Okay, so my mum, for me, she died when I was like 16. I was very young. So she would go up there, and all of a sudden I am there straight away. But so from her perspective, time-wise, it's non-linear. It's like instantaneous. But for me, I've still lived the rest of my life down here. See what I'm saying? So you got to get your head, wrap your head around that. Non-linear time up there, but time is linear down here. Yeah, so if I did believe, that is the kind of thought process and how I would process it. But that's just like fantasy realm. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe. But anyway, that's it. I've come on to this talk from the film Highlander. Highlander is my pick. That's the film that I would have picked out of this lot here if I was stranded on a desert island. I love the franchise. I love the whole Highlander mythos. As bad as the films become, I love the idea and the world building that the TV series gave us. There can be only one, yes, that film. But we did get some good Highlander stuff after it. Most of it was the TV series. I will take my hats off to the TV series. When the TV series first started, it was very much Immortal of the Week. And the first season wasn't very good. It wasn't very good at all. But then when season 2 came, this show hit the ground running. Yeah, from season 2 of Highlander, the show became something special. And Adrian Paul, who played Duncan MacLeod, the Highlander, he just knew everything about it. He was invested. He was fully invested in this character. He could sit down and tell you the whole of this character's history and where he had been and what he had been doing in those times. And it was a great show. It really was. It got a bit difficult in the belief that he kept changing from America to France every half a season, because it was a part French production, and 50% of it was filmed over there. So they had to do half in like where they filmed it in Canada, half in France. You had to do this thing, but I believe there was a bit where they fought on the Eiffel Tower and stuff like that. But yeah, very good film. Very good film. Clancy Brown as the Kurgan, Sean Connery as Ramirez. You know, a Frenchman playing a Scotsman playing a Spaniard, Egyptian Spaniard. Great film though, great film. Yeah, and a great soundtrack by Queen. Who couldn't, say that? Who can't, fantastic. Anyway, so that's it. So, in 2 weeks' time, I will be back with another episode of Desert Island Discs. I might change the title of Desert Island Films to make it a bit more accessible. People realise what I'm talking about. Discs could mean CDs. At which point we shall venture into this shelf here. And then after that, the week after that, I might do the second of the Steelbook shelves. Well, no, I'll do that in 2 weeks. I'll do this whole bit in 2 weeks. There's a bit of a gap there, isn't there? Not unless I fill that gap with something before then, at which point I'll just take that bit as one shelf and that bit as another shelf, so 2 shelves in there, but only if I fill that gap. So there we go. Comments down below, and I shall see you on the next one. 2 weeks. See you later all. Goodbye.